Somewhere along a 10-mile stretch of brand new concrete near Pixley, California, a survey rod is being lowered into position right now. An engineer marks a number on the bank. The number is lower than the last one. 1 inch lower than last month. 12 inches lower than last year. The concrete is fine. The earth beneath it is not. And the $1 billion already spent to fix this. It isn't working. This is the Friant-Kern Canal, 152 miles of concrete arterial that runs south from Friant Dam near Fresno, down the spine of the Central Valley, all the way to Bakersfield. It crosses 4 counties: Fresno, Tulare, Kings, and Kern. It feeds roughly 2 million people. It irrigates more than 1 million acres of almonds, pistachios, oranges, dairy pasture, and processing tomatoes. Fresno County is the #1 agricultural county in the United States. $9 billion worth of food last year alone depends, in part, on the water this canal carries. And the canal cannot carry it anymore. The numbers are not subtle. The original 1951 design moved 5,000 cubic feet per second at the head end. By 2021, the worst pinch point had collapsed to 1,600. That is a 60% loss in conveyance capacity. 60%. Gone. In a single 33-mile stretch known as the Middle Reach, the ground had dropped 12 feet below original grade. The canal was engineered to fall 6 inches per mile. A precise, deliberate gravity slope that moves water without pumps. Subsidence destroyed that gradient. Water stopped flowing where gravity needed it to. And when water stops flowing, people start pumping. So the Bureau of Reclamation and the Friant Water Authority did what seemed logical. They built around it. 10 miles of new concrete, raised back up to design elevation, running parallel to the worst sunken section. The price? $326 million. 3 years of construction. And before the ribbon-cutting ceremony even happened, the canal was already failing again. This is where it gets worse. Even before the March 2023 opening, an atmospheric river breached the construction zone at Deer Creek while concrete was still being poured. Workers watched concrete forms torn apart by floodwater. The fix was failing during construction. But what happened next is more alarming. On February 16, 2024, 4 months before the ribbon cutting, the Friant Water Authority and the Arvin Edison Water Storage District filed suit in Tulare County Superior Court. Their own court filings, signed by Friant Chief Operating Officer Johnny Amaral, stated that the newly built section had already subsided more than 1.8 feet since the 2021 cost-share agreement was signed. Their own engineers, their own numbers, their own lawsuit. The land beneath the newly rebuilt section was collapsing faster than anticipated, at approximately 1 foot per year, the same speed as the old one. Picture what that means in the field. A Friant Water Authority engineer walks the bank of the new 10-mile section with a survey rod and a chalk marker. Station 412 plus 50. Down 0.31 feet from June grade. Station 420. Down 0.58 feet from June grade. Station 425. Down 0.71 feet from June grade. 3 months in. The concrete is intact. The earth is sinking. And already, on the day of the opening ceremony, Bureau of Reclamation Regional Director Karl stood before reporters and disclosed that 250 cubic feet per second of restored capacity had already been lost. A quarter of the promised flow. Gone before the first official gallon moved through. Eaten by the ground beneath their feet on the day of the celebration. To understand why this is happening, you need to understand the loop. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. Step 1. The canal loses capacity. Friant Water Authority Chief Executive Officer Jason Phillips estimates that between 100,000 and 300,000 acre-feet of water are not being delivered every year because of subsidence. Step 2. The farmers downstream still need that water. There are 15,000 farms along this system. Permanent crops, almond trees, pistachio orchards that cannot be turned off for a season. So they pump. Between 100,000 and 300,000 acre-feet of groundwater pulled up from beneath their own fields. Step 3. The aquifer compacts. The clay layers, the Corcoran clay, named for the Kings County town sitting directly above it, squeeze together as the water leaves. The surface drops. USGS hydrologist Michelle Sneed, who has led 25 years of subsidence research at the California Water Science Center, has documented Central Valley groundwater levels now more than 100 feet below previous historical lows. New cones of depression forming in places engineers never even modeled. Step 4. The land that drops is the land the canal sits on. So the canal sinks more, and it carries less, and farmers pump more, and the canal sinks more. Phillips said it himself on the record, 100,000 to 300,000 acre-feet not delivered means 100,000 to 300,000 acre-feet more pumped from the ground every year, and that is making the subsidence worse. Step 5. There is no exit. The contractor and the saboteur are the same person. The farmer irrigating from the canal is also the farmer pumping the groundwater that sinks the canal. The fix accelerates the problem. The problem deepens the fix. And the real danger is that California saw this coming a decade ago and still could not stop it. In 2014, the state passed the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act (SGMA). 21 critically overdraft basins were identified. Each was required to file a groundwater sustainability plan. The state reviewed every one. As of late 2025, the Department of Water Resources had formally rejected the plans of 7 of the most critical Central Valley subbasins: Tulare Lake, Tule, Kern County, Cahuilla, Chowchilla, Delta Mendota, and Pleasant Valley. The agency most directly responsible for stopping the pumping in the zone where Phase 1 is actively sinking is called the Eastern Tule Groundwater Sustainability Agency. In 2021, Eastern Tule committed $200 million toward the canal repair. By early 2024, it had paid $16 million. On March 26, 2026, in a closed session settlement, Eastern Tule was effectively dismantled. It was stripped of its right to issue groundwater allocations for water year 2026. The regulator collapsed before it could regulate. Now zoom out, because this is not a canal story anymore. Drive an hour west to the town of Corcoran in Kings County. Population: 22,000. Also home to the state prison that once held Charles Manson. Corcoran has sunk 11.5 feet in the past 14 years. The Cross Creek Levee that protects the town from Tulare Lake flooding was raised in 2017. It is already 4 feet shorter than it was on the day workers finished raising it. They are raising it again. Same physics, same aquifer, same valley swallowing itself. Near Mendota, the southern San Joaquin Valley has dropped nearly 30 feet since the 1920s. 30 feet. It is possibly the largest documented human-caused land subsidence on Earth. The Friant-Kern repair was poured on top of geology already deformed beyond recognition. And the consequences are spreading in every direction. Tulare Irrigation District General Manager Aaron Fukuda is now deferring a $57 million district-wide infrastructure rehabilitation because every available dollar is being redirected toward the Friant-Kern shortfall. He is not fighting the coalition that built the fix. He is being financially broken by the coalition's failing solution. Here is why that matters. The money to repair what's sinking is now crowding out the money to maintain everything else. The infrastructure around the canal is also deteriorating. And the ground under all of it is still moving. So what comes next? On December 11, 2024, Representative Adam Gray introduced the Central Valley Water Solutions Act, $730 million for Phase 2. On March 17, 2026, $200 million more in federal funding was announced. The total program is now projected past $1 billion to fix what cost $60.8 million to build in 1951. And Friant's own chief operating officer has stated under oath that Phase 1 is already sinking a foot a year. Will Phase 2 sink the same way? Almost certainly. Will Phase 3 exist? The ground keeps moving, so eventually, yes. Will the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act ever get teeth? The regulator in the worst zone has just been dismantled. This is what a doom loop looks like from the inside. Not a dramatic collapse. Not a single catastrophic failure. Just numbers going in the wrong direction, every month, while the paperwork meant to stop it sits unsigned, underfunded, or filed in a closed session settlement with no enforcement attached. Somewhere near Pixley right now, a survey rod is on the bank. A chalk mark is being made. The number is lower than last month. An almond tree is drinking. Pump is running. A levee is shrinking. Town is dropping. And the cracks visible in the photographs are not the hazard. The cracks are the symptom. The hazard is that the United States has spent $1 billion to build a canal on top of a hole that cannot stop deepening. And no one has figured out how to turn off the pumps. Tonight, they're still running.